I work for a company LINET, and I prepare for you 20 minutes presentation with the following agenda. First, I would like to introduce my company very briefly. And I would like to take our business. So LINET company is doing the business of the beds. So I would like to talk about a hospital or about the beds, and then about the innovation. So about the best bed in the market. Okay, so very briefly about LINET. LINET is a Czech-German company in 3 lines of product portfolio. We produce hospital beds, we produce nursing home beds. In fact, nursing home beds we produce mainly in Germany. And the latest our acquisition activity was acquisition with Czech company Borket that produce the equipment for gynecology and obstetric departments. So this is very briefly our product portfolio. The size of the company, we have about 1,500 employees around the world. Our turnover is about 250 million euros per year, with the ambition to grow by 100% in 5 years. And our production capacity is roughly 100,000 beds a year. More or less, we sell our beds everywhere in the world except North Korea. And we have 3 research and development centers. One is based in UK, where we developed our therapeutic mattresses. Then we have in Želevčice in Slaný, close to Prague, R&D center for electro and mechanical engineering parts. And then we have R&D for gynecology and obstetric in Ostrava. We are owner of many awards, like company awards, employer awards, or design awards, and this is thanks to the people who we cooperate with. Okay, so this was a very brief introduction from where I am, and now I would like to touch more the topic of products, which are the beds. Okay, so well, every person needs or desire a bed. So in fact, the bed could be a good business, or the beds actually offer different kind of businesses. For us, the business is the hospital beds mainly. This is the picture from our assembly line. In our production at the moment, we have 8 different kind of assembly line which are inspired by automotive industry. And in the same way as the cars are produced, also the hospital beds are produced. Same system. Current hospital bed is not a furniture. Current hospital bed is a medical device. It's classified as a medical device class 1 or class 2A. Which means it's under very strict medical device regulation led by in European Committee, FDA in US, for example. Current hospital beds actually consist of many features which are trying to support, first of all, patients to provide comfort or some kind of therapeutic effects. Also, it consists of electronics, which offer us today, for example, distant control of the electric parts for easier servicing, or it can provide, let's say, safety architecture for caregivers to monitor the conditions in the bed, if the bed is, for example, in a safe position. This is how it looks today. In fact, this solution was developed, let's say, 5 years ago. So this is not so big innovation, but in the future, We see today technologies that they will monitor patients' life parameters like heart rate, respiration rate, contactless, and very cheap, and they will provide those kind of information, especially in kind of adverse events, to the nurses to call for help. So this is how modern hospital bed looks like, and LINET is a provider not only of the hospital beds, but also the infrastructure and solution of this, let's say, safety network. Here we can see two pictures, and I would ask, or I can ask, please try find 12 differences. Hospital on the left from Second World War, and a modern hospital in modern current setting in Western Europe. On the left side, we can see a mechanical bed or beds, which are still solution for some countries in the world. On the right side, we see fully electric therapeutic bed, currently medical device class 1, but very soon probably class 2A in Western country setup. So this is the introduction about the products that we do. But we are here to speak more about the innovations. And innovations for me personally are about the best product. Because if we do the copy, this is not so much innovations in there. If you want to be the best, then you have to come with your own ideas, your own solutions, turn them to the product and be able to sell. Well, my focus during this presentation is not to speak about the processes and the ways how we manage and control innovations in our company. I think you are more educated and smarter than me, and you can also learn and read the processes and the management system from many textbooks. So rather than go through the systems of innovations in our company, I would like to do more philosophic approach and maybe talk about a little bit different things. I would like more about the ideas, how ideas are born. I would like to talk rather about the people who are behind the ideas. And then I would like to give you one example that you may like, I hope. Henry Ford, one of the best world entrepreneur. I really like very much his ideas, and one I like probably the most is this one. When he is actually speaking about innovations, as I understand, if I had asked people what they want, they would what they wanted, they would have said, we want faster horses. And I think this is exactly what we shouldn't do. First of all, I think we should think, and then maybe to ask and search if our ideas are correct, not to do the opposite. This may be not a very popular idea that I presented right now, because if you speak with the people who work in user experience, UX people, it's very modern today, they would say, no, we have to discover the needs, and then we can actually create the solution. That could be also true, but my view is a little bit different. I think that behind the innovations and best ideas are usually people who can also very popular, who can actually think differently, or who are able to bring some kind of very new and sometimes crazy ideas. They are not afraid, and they have a kind of special talent to see the things that others don't. Those people, on the other hand, are very often very unpractical and unrealistic. Very often scientists, sorry to say that. But those people are really necessary. Without them, I believe we wouldn't have a good innovations or inventions. But to have only such a people, if we are not speak about Nikola Tesla and those geniuses who were able to bring the idea and then transfer the idea to the real product and then to sell, we need a team which is able to do all of those things, and it's very rare to find a person who is able to do everything. We usually have to compose the team, which consists of this kind of dreamer who has a great ideas, but very often unpractical, unrealistic, but person who can actually give a vision. Then we need a very talented engineers. They listen, they understand those ideas, and they to develop something. And then we also, and this is a key part of innovation and business, we need to have a people who are able to sell those ideas. Because without a commercial success, I don't believe the innovation motor or process can continue, because we need finance. So today in LINET, we try to create a team. We are more or less successful. Our team of innovation team is still small. At the beginning of the company, it was very, I would say, natural to bring the innovation, because behind the innovation was mainly Mr. Frolik, owner of the company, and the person who established the LINET. Creative mind, person who always was able to come and say, look, this is what you think is not useful, let's make this kind of change. And that was initial some kind of energy that actually accelerate the growth of the LINET. This kind of innovations that appears from his mind. But today, as we have a company 1,500 people selling 100,000 beds, we need a team. So we need a team that consists of those kind of engineers, dreamers, and also people who are able to sell those ideas and explain what is the benefit for the end user. Okay. So I have for you a chart which looks very complicated. On one side it is, if you are a physiologist, then you probably have the idea what is behind in 2 minutes. If you are intensivist physician, then you may have the idea what is behind in 5 minutes. If you are not, I will do my best to have idea what is behind in 7 minutes. For us, I think it can be very motivated, especially in this turbulent time and difficult time, virus, because behind the part is idea how the bed can treat the patient potentially with the coronavirus, infected people. A short time to provide simple background. What we can see here is the look into the patient or human chest. We can see the lungs, and lungs behave is like wet sponge. So the bottom part are compressed because of lot of water, and like a stretch because of the weight of bottom part. Too stretch is not good, and too compress is also not good. And we can see on a CT scan, white part, too compressed, very limited oxygen or gas exchange, black part, too stretch, very limited potential to change the volume, to exchange the gases. So some kind of flexibility is necessary for the lungs to allow to breathe. Well, if you manipulate with the human body, you play with the gravity force, and you can use the gravity force for physician profit to improve the breathing. And this is what this chart illustrates. LINET introduced the bed, which was able to do the patient repositioning by electric profiling platform, left and right. And what we can see here over the beds in different position is like a map of lung aeration. So we can see that the application of gravity force can change aeration, the amount of air in the human lungs. And if we apply this kind of strategy for sick people, patients potentially with COVID or acute respiratory distress syndrome, we can see that the tilt, well, may quite dramatically improve patient oxygenation, which is represented by this line of PaO2. And even the patient, this particular patient, was very, very sick and almost dead because of hypoxia or hypoxemia. After 4 days, this kind of patient was discharged from ICU. And you can see here the patient chest X-rays. If you are not a physician, then you can understand that the black lungs are healthy lungs and white lungs, day one, are sick lungs. So you can see that the progress is quite fast, rapid. And the progress is also thanks to the smart patient repositioning. And this is actually the example how the beds can really change the patient situation in a hospital. This is not a fairy tale. This is a real story. This story started maybe 5 years ago. We already had this bed in the market for 5 years. We used the lateral tilt to turn the patient for easier washing, for example. But then I met those dreamers, crazy people who came with the idea, well, maybe we can use the gravity for other things. Let's do some research. So we started research with the laboratory of Charles University, Prague Laboratory of Physiology. And we presented our first results on ICU conferences. And then we were contacted by one of the most, one leading pulmonologist, worldwide leading pulmonologist, Professor Marcelo Amato from Brazil. And the last year, after a couple of years of research, we were invited to the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, US, where Professor Amato, the man here in black, and Professor John Marini from MTI teach on Mayo field, other physicians, intensivists, and respiratory therapists how to use lateral tilt for patient profit and more safe patient ventilation. using bed which tilts, using electric impedance tomography as a bedside imaging diagnostic method. And this is the example of our innovation. This is not invention, this is innovation, how to improve or how to use the lateral tilt of the bed for a patient profit, how to maybe save patients' lives. Today, this application, very simple thing, only left and right tilt, we believe may save plenty of people. Today, there is about 12,000 beds in the world. And we are going to publish the results of our research and hopefully help the most. Last week, we introduced this idea through the webinar. We had more than 300 participants from around the world, and now we register about 1,200 people who would interested in this method to apply it for their patients worldwide. So this is the example of the innovation, how the bed can serve if it's properly used for people. I think I have no more time to speak, and this is the end of my my presentation. So if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to give an answer if I know.
I would ask everyone who has questions to use the chat box to prevent unnecessary noise on the lines. And while you are typing that, I use the time to ask one question for myself. You spoke about your beds being a medical instrument, certified, which I imagine it requires certification. How long does it usually take for the certification to be issued, for your ideas to be approved in practical use?
Wow, yes, that's excellent question, and actually very acute, because I'm also responsible for something which is called clinical evaluation. Clinical evaluation is a part of the process of bringing medical devices to the market. This is the regulation from the European Committee to ensure that all devices are, first of all, safe for our patients, and second of all, they bring those functions that the producers promise, and that it works. So, medical device regulation, MDR, is a new regulation which is now introduced into the Europe, and it's valid from May 2020. So it's just coming. Just for your idea, before this new MDR, to classify bad class 1, this is the lowest level of the risk. For us, it was meet several users, bring them the bed in some kind of research mode to the hospital, do short evaluation, to have expert opinion and issue CE mark. Today, and it was a paperwork 2 pages A4 size. Today, to bring this bed to the market, it's the paperwork in the amount of 90 pages of scientific text. This is very much about a lot of laboratory tests, a lot of clinical tests, research in scientific databases, to do the systematic review. Yes, and all of that must be done very, very precisely, and this is the matter of certification. which means a lot of obstacles, which means a lot of time, and which means also a lot of money. Because especially if you produce, for example, 15 beds, 10 different kinds of mattresses, plus other equipment, for all of those products, you need to prepare such a paperwork. So for us, the transition period took 2 years and investments about maybe, let's say, 2 million Czech crowns. So you can imagine that if you are a small company with limited resources, limited amount of people, and maybe also limited knowledge, that could be a very big obstacle to enter the market of in medical device with medical devices. Okay, so it's not easy. Did you have a public support? Yes, we very often apply for money from the European Union, and we are a receiver of many projects that are supported by European funds, European money. At the moment, for example, I personally work on projects supported by Thatcher in budget of 25 million Czech crowns. We are one partner in entire project. We have partners from Czech medicine, which means Hospital Liberec, which means Charles Medical Faculty, First Medical Faculty, Charles University Prague, and the General Teaching Hospital Prague as well. Plus, we have an international partner, University of Sao Paulo. Our activities are mainly related with the topic I presented already, which means how to turn the patient for optimizing lung mechanics for patients who are mechanically ventilated. This is just one example of public support. Every year we run usually several research projects. They are supported by European Union. Of course, not 100 support. Usually the support is around 40%, and 60% is financed by LINET company from private resources.
Okay, thank you. If there are any other questions, have you received any, Martin, in your private chat box?
I'm very bad with this system. I'm very sorry.
Okay, so I can't see any more questions. So we are already scheduled to start another presentation. So many thanks, Martin. Many thanks.
My pleasure.
It was a real pleasure to have you, and I wish you a lot of health and a lot of strength to deal with the lot of work you have, considering the pandemics and what your company is doing to help the patients.
Thank you very much, and you are very welcome to visit LINET.